Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with you on this May 20th, 2020 edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion. This will be pretty brief today. I've got to get ready to set everything up for Hurricane U, which begins at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, live on my YouTube channel. So let's get right to it. Nothing going on in the Atlantic Basin anytime soon. We do have the remnants of Arthur up here. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then we have the cyclone up here that has made landfall in eastern India, and I believe that you pronounce it Umpun, something like that. Trying to do my best with it. It has made landfall. We'll see what different sources up there tell us in terms of the storm surge and other impacts. Hopefully, the effects won't be nearly as bad as we feared. It did weaken from a wind perspective as it was coming in. And we do have this other area way down here, south of the equator, in the southern hemisphere, Invest Area 98S, and that's the southern Indian Ocean, I guess you would say. And that could go on to try to become a cyclone over time. There's a prominent westerly wind burst in the vicinity of the Indian Ocean, and that helps to put these systems into motion, so to speak. It's kind of a kick that lets them start up this westerly wind burst across the Indian Ocean against the normal trade winds here. You start to develop, among other things, this kick, like I said, that helps to set things off, this Kelvin wave that's going to move around and eventually come back over this way, and we're going to have to watch this region in the next couple of weeks or so, but that's not for several days out. No worries. All right, satellite picture of the Western Hemisphere, the Atlantic Basin. Large, sprawling upper-level low parked over a good deal of the eastern third of the United States. Strong southerly winds coming up out of the Caribbean through the eastern Pacific. The remnants of Arthur sitting right there. That's the center of circulation nearing Bermuda, which is there. This is the tropical wave that we talked about yesterday, it too being sheared. Of course, I mean, we're getting into the latter third of May, and we don't expect anything to develop out in the Atlantic Basin right now. And this is part of the reason why. There's just still too much upper-level energy way up in the northern latitudes. You have it down here with the southern stream action and just general high velocities of upper-level winds that do not allow these disturbances to develop. But you can still get heavy rainfall. Sometimes that's good if you need to fill your tanks, and if you live down in these island areas like Bermuda, the Caribbean, you know what I'm talking about. A good tank filling rains, those can be beneficial. Looking at the vorticity signature, here's that overall frontal system, and then the upper level energy with that upper level low, but that is the signature leftovers of Arthur there, impinging on Bermuda. So there could be some gusty winds and periods of heavy rains for Bermuda as this passes, and eventually this energy is going to begin to dissipate as this settles to the south over time. I'll show you that in the modeling here. And first of all, there it is right there. This is the initial chart. The GFS from today, this is the east coast of the United States, at least the southeast coast. There's Florida, Gulf Coast states around to Mexico, Central America, and finally the north coast of South America. We'll outline the west part of everything over here. Along the Pacific coast, Puerto Rico right in here. And yeah, I think you get the idea, right? So there's your geography for today. Let's put this into motion, looking at the 5,000 foot level of the atmosphere. And you see what happens here with Arthur. The remnants there will go back in time just a little bit. Back it up. You see that energy comes down over Bermuda. I mean, right over the top of the area from the north to the south. But then it dissipates. It loses its identity more and more. And finally, this upper level low that's been plaguing the southeast here, that'll begin to fill, and that will be replaced by a stronger area of high pressure. See that? Ridging over the western Atlantic, now sticking its nose in to the southeast U.S. Southerly flow, we talked about this yesterday, that will enhance the potential for severe weather out in this area, and that's where we're headed next week to do some testing. So just all kinds of things going on just to watch and keep us, I guess, our interest focused, but no tropical cyclones forecast to develop anytime soon. This is out 4 days, and there's 5 days, and we'll go out to 6 and 7. There's day 6, And there's day 7. Modeling kind of indicating a weak upper level disturbance over Texas that we might have to watch for heavy rainfall as it taps that very warm Gulf of Mexico. You never know. You folks along the coast of Texas, you get those impulses from time to time, and they can be very problematic. And what we will be watching beyond the 168-hour mark, this area right through here. All the modeling indicating medium to long-range weather forecasting, suggesting this prominent, what we call Central American gyre, that energy that's currently leaving the vicinity of the Indian Ocean that spawned Umpon, or Umpun, or however you say it, the cyclone, that's going to eventually make its way this way, and we're going to see this westerly wind set up, this convectively coupled Kelvin wave in this region through here, and we'll have to wait and see. Once we get closer, does something try to develop out of that? And once that happens, we should be pretty close to the start of the hurricane season anyway. So nothing now, but the window of opportunity seems to be coming. All right, I'm going to finish this up and get ready for Hurricane U live on my YouTube channel today, the educational series where we talk about different topics related to the world of hurricanes, preparedness, meteorology, tracking, you name it. And today's topping? Am I hungry? That's subliminal, man. Today's topic. Colby will get a kick out of this if he ever sees this. Colby Sawyer, he is with the Emergency Management Group in Chatham County, North Carolina. He used to be out in the eastern part of North Carolina. He knows the emergency management, especially of like this new generation. He's younger, right? So he's not like, I could have gotten Craig Fugate or my friend Dan Summers. I'm going to come back on for a second, and I'll explain this a little bit more once we go live. But Colby is younger, and so there's this new generation of emergency managers coming up, and I want to talk about the perspectives of challenges for those that do not have a lot of experience, whether it's Florida, or the Carolinas, or anywhere. The role of emergency management, what it does, what it doesn't do in serving its purpose, how the public can take away from what emergency managers and the offices of emergency management across the country provide. Some are more robust with their hurricane savviness than others, and it's a world that we don't hear much about. I could have just shortened it and called it that, the world of emergency management, today on Hurricane U. All right, that comes up 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we save the archive for it forever and ever on YouTube. All right, that is it from me for today. I'm going to go get ready for the Hurricane U, and I'll be back with more here for you tomorrow with a hurricane outlook and discussion then. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. Thank you for watching. We will talk again soon.